Well, maybe things are getting better, as much as this telephone seems to be working better. Um, and what was evident, I mean, there's been evidence many times I've seen that, this isn't right. There's something wrong here. Um, and still, like, I think I've had calls redirected, like whenever I was trying to talk to Mint, that I was talking, at least once, I believe I was talking to somebody that wasn't of Mint. But, it showed up again just recently because I noticed that whenever I use the certain software here to upload, that it bypassed all the regular normal filters that is set on my uploading. And instead of first, whenever you upload to YouTube, you connect and you go uploading. I'm sure that's all it does. It's uploading, and it'll tell you about how long it takes. After it uploads for a few seconds, it'll tell you how long it's got, and there you go. And that's the way it used to work for me. But then it started doing something else. It was like processing. Then it said preparing, and it seemed as though it was sending a file of some sort, and that would go on for a while. And then after all that, then it would go ahead and send the file. And when it started working like that, it was an extended period of time that it took to upload. Today, whenever I used that software, it just went right to uploading. Boom, there it was, and it uploaded within just a few minutes, like what we were supposed to have in the amount of speed we've got here, rather than that too being hampered, because basically that's everything. There's only a couple pieces that's not being affected by everything. That's why productivity just went through the floor. It's like, why try to produce anything if the tools that you're using are going to be tampered with and messed up, so you can't continue. You know what filters are. Filters don't work the way they're supposed to, then you're not able to do that kind of work. It doesn't matter if you're working in sound or visual or what. Anyway, past sabotage. So that thing's working better. And so that was the news flash. Now on with the show. The one I thought was interesting I heard today was from CJ. And he was talking about how one of the more creative excuses that they have for attacking you is that you're not perfect. Since you're God, you have to be perfect. And I think he does, say in the video that you never did say you were God. And I didn't. I've never consciously made any claim that could be interpreted as me saying, I'm the God, I'm the guy, him. All I've said is the light is with me. It started to leave me, but then it came back to me, and I would never want to lose it. And I've invited the Prince of Peace to live with me. Now, also, that, and again, like I was saying in another video, I don't know if I'll put it out or not, but the thing of it is it could all come into you in one fell swoop, especially if God had something he wanted to do with you that day that was of tremendous importance, and he needed to take over you and take all your free will and just completely inhabit you. However, if you never had a relationship with him before and there was none of him there in you, that would require a whole lot more energy to possess an unknown vehicle. You see what I'm saying? So, in other words, more often than not, if you're going to be something with the Lord, what do they say? You ask Jesus into your heart and whatever, blah, 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 and whatever, what they say. Which is, in effect, yeah, that's true. But then you see, it was the Christianity that was geared towards, and then you'll have a worldly life while you begin to understand and realize the thing about Jesus, because we'll get you to, look at that more deeply. But by that time, you're already involved with your worldly life, and you have that to continue on with and hold on to attachments. But boy, I sure do digress right now for sure. The thing was, I mean, it's like this. It comes in pieces, stages. When you first get Jesus, you're like, yay! And it's like the dragon said, they come in to drop gold on you. Hopefully you actually got the Holy Spirit, some piece of it. Because if you didn't, now you're operating in falsely. But that doesn't mean that he's not aware of you, especially if they've set your soul on fire and you've communed with him more than once. But it comes in stages. Eventually, you could probably say, when you look at me, you're looking at Jesus, because he is so much of you that he's taken over. He's like he said, when you see me, you see the face of the Father. When you look at me, basically is what he said. So, but that's what it is. It's you've been taken over. Now, however, I'm going to say this is just for fun, okay? Just for intellectual exercise. If you were observing someone that you believed was God, or had told you that they were God, or whatever, right? Made a claim to that. So you're examining this, right? And what you're looking for is perfection, because only God is perfect, I guess, is what you're going by. When Jesus said only the Father is good, and many of us theorize that because he's not in the flesh, that he's pure spirit. And that's one of the reasons why he's completely and totally all light, and there is no darkness within him. But let's say, just, for the sake of argument, that you had found God. You were able to peer in on what appeared to be God living his little life in some representative fashion. And all these things that he did were symbolic. If he was in a material world, everything he did was had a material effect, but very much spiritual effect, and could be very much symbolic and or triggers that caused mechanisms to come into play. In other words, regardless of what he did, okay, it would still be perfect. He's perfect in all of his words, all of his thoughts, all of his ways, right? Isn't that how it is? He's perfect in everything he does. That's the sentiment. Now, the reason why would be this. All that he does leads up to the inexorable outcome that he's planned, because he's been able to see it from beginning to end. In other words, he, like you guys say, well, because we've been such horrid enemies and treated him so horridly and showed everyone that you don't want to sleep in the same house with us kind of attitude thing going on. This has helped to trigger him into becoming this, that. Oh, it's made me want to just leave. So, we're doing our thing and going up with our limited understanding, because, again, we don't have everything here all at one time. But, again, everything they did, you could say absolutely 100% is perfect, because it causes all the things that needs to happen, such as someone who shouldn't be watching God judge God errantly and show everyone that they are that. You know what I'm saying? Perhaps, just that alone. But it all works together, and not that I'm saying that I'm that. Of course, I'm not saying that. I'd never say that I was perfect. I know that's been a theme, a recurring theme that others have put out there, something about perfect or perfection or whatever. But again, by whose standards? And then you have to ask yourself, well, whom does this thing presume itself to be? To sit and judge whatever me or anyone, for that matter. By what authority? By what right? Because I don't think they call upon powers, except perhaps dark ones, and or workers of magic and stuff like that. So what type of judge could they be? Again, witches are witches. Sorcerers and magicians are all that. That's all magic, and that's lower stuff. That's not light work. That's, light work. You're actually working with them above, and it is a heavenly thing, and it's about the skies. And Paul Buzz, it's a real deal. But in any case, I just thought it was a pretty darn strange and funny, excuse again. What it is, it's always an excuse. Everything is an excuse. Because remember, who are they to you? Oh, they're this or they're that, or now they're wearing some other hat. Well, now they'll say it's because of this, and they're like, what is there, like 6 or 7 different excuses, or personalities, or supposed relational type of dynamic, and when it's what? Nothing. So much nothing is what I think it is. Just because of all the, again, it's a lot of darkness as far as I can tell. And what I saw, maybe it's improved since then. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Like I said, I don't care, if it goes off to become the great Swami of everything and has, a wonderful palace in the sky or whatever. Yay for you! That's, now I was getting some news that was suggestive of, they've run off another one or something like that. Or I was hearing something about a friend who was a backstabber, who was trying to get after our money. I'm like, well, I don't know anything about that. And then they were saying something also about, somebody, being unhappy, and or that we deleted a lover or something that I don't know. It was just sounded like crazy to me because, again, who am I speaking with? Again, please? No, you can't even give me a name. Oh, well, gee whiz. Well, now how am I supposed to know who you are? All I can do is just judge by what you do, right? By what happens. Or is it just simply, did I run a filter and the net caught you and swept you out of the way? Now, see, that's not personal. That is not personal. If we run the filters and or we make changes, which a lot of these works have been altered from time to time, and they do go through changes again and again, renewals and stuff, and that's not personal. That's just about, again, survival. Because what did we get today? Damages. What did we get 3 days ago? Damages. What did we get a few days before that? Damages. In other words, every time they come around, well, or not every time, but it's a very regular thing, and it has been for years and years and years and years. Could you understand why perhaps when we said goodbye 16, 17 years ago, that we could have, get this, we said that before we even knew the damage that had been done to us. It's just that we were so run down and everything was just so bad and terrible, and it had been for years and years at that point, right? And, what I've been told is if something felt bad, or anything hurt, then something was wrong. And boy, was there something wrong. Now, I caught at least a part of the other one out there with their stories, and what they were saying was something about how they just don't even know what love is anymore. And I don't know if they're trying to talk about me or what, but and again, like if there was a relationship that had begun, I can tell you this: there were a few days there that I was feeling as though there was an extra amount of love or something that was being brought this way, and it seemed to be consistent, and it seemed to be consistent with what it was fitting in with. I think it felt pretty good. It was nice and felt right, and I'm complaining about it at all, not at all. Whom exactly it was, I'm not sure. Could be a friend, probably, maybe, but there is camaraderie, and there's love of your brothers, and so it's all good. However, if they got knocked out of the way or cut off or something, yeah, again, that is done out of a need for preservation, self-preservation, because we've been attacked on a regular basis. Our physical has been attacked and damaged on a regular basis through the other side, the energy. That's why, the F tank, as Chris Rock would call it, or Kid Rock. I don't know, that's telling. Kid Rock, as would say the F tank. Darn, it's damaged. It wasn't just emptied, or mostly, darn, wow. She's a man eater. Yeah, that's Daryl Hall. He'll tell you. He knows. John Oates probably knows. I bet you he seems to exhibit a lot of symptoms of probably having gone through it. Maybe gotten cheated out of it, here, this or that. But in any case, the fact of the matter is the love thing. Well, it's not love for me if it's forcing me to be with them, and if it causes me great degradations, harm, and lowers me. That's not love to me, you see. That's toxicity. And I'm not saying it's, that a person's absolutely evil whenever that happens. It's just simply there's different kinds of people. And that's what we mean by birds of a feather flock together. I can get nestled in amongst a bunch of blue or white, and everything's just right. It's just fine, cool, groovy, and dandy. You know what I'm saying? But with others, there can be so much friction that just make you miserable. And, they're getting all your energy and hating on you and all this. And it's like, nah, I'd rather not. I'd just rather go home. Just like I said 16 or 17 years ago, whatever it was. Yeah, we'd rather go home rather than mess with all that. Hey, can you give me my stuff back? I mean, I know you're just playing, right? Right? Because you loved us, right? Some kind of love or something, right? Well, in any case, we were wanting to leave. So the strategy is, to continue on up. And friends and all those that are of the day, of course, we love you. Those that are loyal and those that are, of our kind. If you're of the family of light, then yay. If you're white, we've always loved people that are white, lots of white people. Of course, if you're blue, well, hallelujah. Well, all right. I'm going to get back to it, guys. And thanks for... Yeah, I know there's something else I was going to want to blab on, just because I know this happens as we go through changes in places maybe or something. But again, please, if somebody got, spurned or something, that was purely unintentional. It's not, because again, how well do you think we're picking up on these calls? I mean, they come through, right? But without the IDs on the headers, how can you tell which one's which from which one? For sure, especially in the time of AI, right? God bless.